Greetings YouTube, Skill Incarnate bringing you all the latest indie gaming goodness. Welcome back as we look at another indie game. This time we're looking at House Builder, a house building simulator. This is by my friends at Playway SA, the mad lads behind Mr. Prepper, another game I recently reviewed and thoroughly enjoyed. House Builder is a bit more of a casual experience, as we build houses all across the world, from tiny igloos all the way up to massive palatial homes. We're going to play the first part of the campaign, and as always I'm going to let you know my thoughts. Let's have a look at House Builder. We begin the game on the global map, and our first build is going to be a simple one, a small igloo in the middle of the Arctic. This first build doesn't require any complex builds, any complex materials or tools. It just needs a bunch of ice blocks and a simple knife to carve them with. So here we are in the Arctic. We do need to keep our fire going. Thankfully we have our faithful Poochie. He's going to keep an eye on the fire and he'll begin barking when it gets low. You find a hard piece of ice and trace the ice blocks out that you need with your trusty knife. We can only use hard ice. Now you'll notice it's done this. It's created a heap of ice blocks in one go. Now this game has a skill system, and the skill system basically is all around making the building process more efficient. You can see here I filled out several skills by doing some builds. We've got about half a dozen builds or more, and I've unlocked all of the ice-based igloo skills. These allow me to carve out several blocks at once and also to be able to carry many blocks at one time. So I'm carrying 45 ice blocks. We can carry up to 99 without getting overweighted. Now I know I'm making it look easy, but it does take a little bit of skill to trace these out. I've obviously done a few of these by now. Boom, boom. 75 blocks, so we've got a fair amount of building materials. All we have to do now is place them down. So here we've got the foundation of our building. We fill in the building blocks. We don't have to worry about glue, fastener, nails, screws, anything that. We just have to place the blocks. Occasionally we will have to process the building materials. We won't get raw materials like this. We'll have to worry about processing the logs into planks, using mud to make bricks, and eventually more modern techniques such as making plastic, making concrete, and smelting steel. But for now we're keeping it simple. So we've got a fair start on our home. We'll stoke this fire a little bit. Now there isn't any time limit on any of your builds. You can take as long as you want. It is a very relaxing, chill game. And that may put some people off. Not gonna lie. It did initially put me off, but once you get into the swing of things, it's a very relaxing game. And with a couple of decent skills, you can drastically speed your builds up. Instead of taking an hour or more, we should be able to bang this entire place out in under 5 minutes. Thanks to our fancy skills. Building's starting to come together now. I'm not a big fan of the narrator, and the sound in this game, like so many indie games, is not very well normalized. I've tried to fix it, but some sound effects are very loud and others are very quiet, and changing the volume doesn't seem to do anything to that. So next thing we need to do, find another source of ice. Here we go. Oops. You do have to take your time. Trust me, I'm a doctor. Or a builder in this case. I know what I'm doing. And I can confirm the building stuff in House Builder will allow you to build that in real life. Don't worry if you're stuck in the ice. If you do play this game, you will gain all the survival skills you need to survive the Arctic. So I can carry a little bit more ice. So we're going to try and find another one of these hardened ice patches. There we go. So we can carry one more. Now, because of my upgrade skills, it makes this a lot easier. Without all of the upgrade skills, you have to cut each individual ice block out. And it will take you a good hour to do that, to do this build the first time. And I do think sometimes the skills do make the game feel a little too easy. And it would be nice to be able to turn these skills off, or to reset your skill tree without having to restart the whole game again. Okay, couple more. Boom. So now all we have to do is set up our main entrance, and we can also buy a few goodies from the shop that we can use to kit out our new home. We've got a tanning rack, and I'll chuck down a barricade because we don't have any front door, so we probably want to have some way to keep wild animals out. Not you, Poochie, you're a good boy. You can stay. There we go. He's happy. So we just need a couple more blocks to finish off our build. And this should be more than enough, if I can cut this properly. That will do. So we'll fill in our entrance. Oop, I still need a little bit more. That should be more than enough, but I'll grab some more just in case. That'll do the trick. And we've completed our first build. Now when you finish building a house, you can stay there and have a look around, or you can leave and sell the house for a bit of money. You can see here on the map, as this is really only a very simple house in the middle of nowhere, we're only going to get a little bit of money out of it. But we're going to move on to the second build. And this is in the Amazon, where we'll be able to use some more complex building materials. We're still playing with very, very basic materials though, in comparison with modern building techniques. We start off with a very simple stone foundation to our home. And depending on the location, you will have to use the local building materials. We're in the middle of the jungle, so we don't have access to modern machinery and fancy materials. We just have to use what we can get our hands on. In this case, that's rocks, sticks and mud. So we'll place down our foundation. Now you do get a couple of pointers in this map, but in the next map, and from that point on, the game stops giving you pointers, and you have to figure out most of the tools and the building materials and how to process them through a little bit of trial and error. Now, veterans of survival games will probably find this pretty simple. It's definitely not the most complex crafting game out there. But what I like about it is that, like with all of Playway's games, they get just the right mix between realism and fun. Because you wouldn't want a super realistic building game where you have to get out, and start measuring everything. Although you do have to measure later on. But things like, doing paperwork, surveying, architecture plans, all that sort of stuff, that'd probably be going a little bit too far. Now I think with all of this, yeah, we'll have enough. Beautiful. Now again, I have some upgrades. And in this build, it's all about using wood and mud. So we'll be using mud bricks once we get the foundation and the frame of our house up. There we go. Great. So now we've got the foundations up, we're going to grab a simple stone axe and cut down some trees, process them into short logs, and gather some ropes in the form of vines that we can use to lash everything together. We're going to need a lot of material, so we're going to gather everything. Thankfully, another one of the skills is a strength skill, and that lets me carry a large amount of materials at once. So I can get everything we need in probably 1 or 2 trips. Now some of the building materials will respawn over time. Trees will regrow, so if you do lose some of your building materials, you don't have to stress. You can wait around for them to respawn. You can see some of these trees have grown back already. Now this game is a very relaxing experience. You're not up against a clock. You don't have to worry about enemies attacking your home or your base. It's just you and your building. And that may put some people off, and I admit that it initially put me off. But as I said, this game, it does get that balance between fun and realism just perfect. Chuck on a podcast and just relax and build away. I think I'll need a couple more trees. And half of the fun is just finding all the different materials, working out how to build your house, and then coming back to see if you can do it a little faster, a little better next time.
Outstanding!
So now we can use the vines to fasten all of the frame together. A couple more.
Outstanding!
Okay, so we need some more wood. We'll go and collect some more. These trees have regrown. Yeah, it is a really relaxing experience. If someone is looking to get into survival games and you're put off by the steep learning curve of a lot of the more hardcore survival games, or if you like modes like Minecraft creative mode, then this may be exactly what you're looking for. It's a very simple, easy, relaxing experience. You can work at your own pace. And you can always try each of the builds again and again. In fact, you will have to repeatedly build houses in order to save up a bit of money to buy the more expensive houses to make more profit. You can see I've got a fair amount of profit already because I've constructed a few houses and I'm into the more modern building materials, but I wanted to show you one of the simpler builds. Simply because the more advanced builds with the heavy duty materials and tools can require a couple of hours. But it is time well spent. Okay, I reckon a couple more ought to do the trick. Okay, one more tree ought to do it. Sometimes you'll have to wait for trees to regrow. However, most of the materials in the game do respawn fairly regularly. You won't have a very long wait. There we go.
Brilliant!
So the last thing we need to do is tie everything down. We'll worry about adding some decals later. And it is a very chill experience. I'm just taking my time. I'm not rushing. Although later on, the first time you build a house, you're going to be sitting there for quite a while.
Perfect!
The upgrades really do speed up the process of building. And a really good example of that is what we're about to do, which is to build some mud bricks. So we're going to make some mud by throwing some clay in here, and then we'll get a bowl, mix the clay with a bit of water, boom. Now all I have to do is get the ball of mud, put it into our frame here. Now you probably noticed I got more than one brick. In fact, I got nearly 100 bricks, and again, that's one of the skills. It gives me the ability to construct several bricks at a time. And another skill that lets me lay out bricks very rapidly. And a build that would take an hour or more can be done in about 10 or 20 minutes. Now, while this is a lot of fun, I do kind of wish that the skill tree, you could turn it off. Because once you've built a house a couple of times, and you've got the requisite amount of experience, and you've unlocked the skills, it turns the build into a rather trivial thing. As you can see, we're hammering through this very quickly. I would really like to see the developer give players the option of building without the skill tree, and without having to actually restart the game to do so, to reset their progress. And the ability to disable certain skills, like this skill, as you can see, we're rapidly building up this house. We're getting, you know, nearly 100 bricks every time. Oh, 50 bricks. There's nearly just shy of 150 bricks. Bam. This is nice and simple. But again, it would be nice to be able to turn these skills off for the purpose of building and not having the game give you the leg up that these skills do, because they do massively shorten the amount of time it takes to build your house. The other thing too is you're going to have trouble getting to, especially with some of the bigger houses, getting to where you have to place the building materials. You can see here I have it jump up on this house, and it's a little bit of a rough process. Later on we'll get access to things like elevators and ladders, but in these early builds this is a very painful sort of process. But it's also a very relaxing process. Seeing your house come together, watching the end process, selling it and getting some money, and then buying another house, another little project to get started in, and the challenge of working out how to construct a place with the different building materials you get your hands on. The game doesn't hold your hand after the first few levels, so you better be paying attention. We're nearly there. Now I'm probably going to need to batch up another heap of mud, because I probably won't have enough bricks to finish this off. Oh, I might just get it in.
Impressive.
Oh, with 5 to spare, not too bad. Now here we've got a bit more of an advanced process for the building. We're again going to batch up some mud, but this time we're going to actually create some roof tiles, and in order for them to work we're going to have to fire them in our kiln. So there we go, we've got some tiles here, and we'll chuck the tiles in our kiln, and then we're going to light this bad boy up and cook them so that they're nice and hard. There we go. You can see it's now firing the tiles up for us, so let's get some more wood in there. And let's make some more tiles. We're going to need another fresh batch. And as you can see, with the building skill maxed, I have got nearly 100 tiles here. Actually, sorry, I've got nearly 200 tiles. And that's going to make this building process just so quick. You can auto lay tiles in rows like this, another really cool skill. All of these skills are unlockable, and it will take you a few builds to get this. But as you can see, it makes this build very, very quick. I may only need this second batch and I'm done. There we go. And that's going to batch up our second set of tiles, and we probably won't need too many actually. Yeah, we're only just short. Okay. again, we've got another... I always get a laugh out of that. Just like a gigantic pile of tiles materializes out of thin air. And you have to remember, when you first do this build, I'm doing them one at a time. So you imagine having to do that, say, 100 times. This build took me well over an hour. So again, a very simple build. And hopefully a bit of an idea on whether you want to pick up this game. Now, I've really been enjoying this game. It's a fun, relaxing game. You get to do a bit of crafting. There's not much in the way of threats or danger. It's just a very chill sort of survival crafting game. And anyone who enjoys games where you just want to build casually will enjoy this. And in fact, it would be really good for young kids. A nice, simple game that's non-violent and family-friendly. And I'm really enjoying these simulated games that Playway are putting out. I'm hoping that I will get to bring more of their games to you. I hope you enjoyed this look at House Builder. And hopefully you'll join me next time when we look at another indie game. Until then, Skill Incarnate, out.